Hello everybody, my name's Sky and welcome to another episode of Broke Girls Art School. In today's episode, I'm going to show you guys how I went about making this frame for my mom. And I'll make sure to tag all the supplies that I use in the description box down below. And yeah guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Let's get started.
Alright, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure you give your slab of wood a very good sanding. You want that wood to be as smooth as possible before you start burning. I usually recommend using, anything higher than a 220 grit is good. And since I was just doing hibiscus flowers, I thought it would be easiest to just freehand it on since I draw flowers all the time. But if you're not as confident in your freehanding abilities, you could most definitely stencil a design for something like this, and I will tag a link to another video that I have on how to stencil in the description box below. And the first tip that I'm using here is my smallest ballpoint tip from woodburned. I really like this for like little circles and details like that. It's a bit easier to use for stuff like this than just the regular calligraphy tip, which is basically the same pen as this, except it doesn't have that little ball on top. And as you can see, I'm not digging deep into the wood at all. I'm just staying on the surface and kind of letting the heat do the work for me. You definitely want to avoid digging deep into the wood because that can cause blowouts, shaky lines, and it's just a lot less consistent. The next tip that I was using for the outside lines of the flower was this large ballpoint tip, which gets the job done, but honestly with that tip you have to use so much heat to heat up that ball on top that the plastic on the pen actually started melting off, so I decided to just use my round tip shader to get those nice thick outlines. And if you're new to wood burning, I definitely recommend getting a practice slab of wood where, you can practice these techniques before you put them in your final piece. It definitely takes a little bit getting used to, but once you get the swing of it, you can use any tip for just about anything. And then here we are just outlining the rest of the piece. And when I do those inner lines in the petals, the lines are going to be a bit lighter and thinner. So for that, I'm just going to lower my heat a little bit, or you could just move your hand a bit quicker. Here we're just getting that leaf outlined. I tried to include a bit of real-time burning for you guys just so you could see the speed that I was doing and the hand motions that I use. And if you guys have any suggestions on other things that you want to see, please feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of, all that good stuff. Now we're just getting in some lines to separate the petals here. Those lines are still pretty dark, but they're definitely not as thick as that outer line. Whether I'm doing tattoos, wood burning, any kind of art, I try to always use different line weights in pieces. I just really like the look of it, and I think it makes it a lot more readable as well. And then now we're just getting those fine lines in the petals of the flower here. Again, just lowered the heat a little bit and I'm moving my hand a bit quicker so they're lighter and thinner lines. And for these lines, you can see I'm sticking a bit closer to the very tip of the shader here. And then we're just going to go ahead and do that for the rest of the piece. And now on to shading. So when shading flowers, I definitely like to have the center of the flower a little bit darker and then kind of branch out into a lighter shade just to give it some more depth, because the inside of a flower is, you know, it's going inward, so you want to show that, you know, a little bit of darkness where the flower kind of curves inwards. So I do a bit of darker shading, you know, following those lines. You definitely want to shade in the direction of the lines. And I'm going to do that coming out from the center, and then I'm going to do dark on the outside of the petals as well, and then do the same thing and just drag inwards. And then the middle part of the petal is going to be my lightest value. And when shading, you can see I kind of like tilt the tip of the pen a little bit, so like more of the shader is touching the wood, and you can get that shading done faster and smoother. And there's a ton of different tips that you can use for this particular piece. I just thought this one would be the best for me. But honestly, once you've been burning for a while, I feel like, you know, you can get away with just using 2 or 3 tips all the time for pretty much everything that you want to do. And of course, the longer that you've been doing it, the easier it gets. Again, just dragging in that shade from the outside line. We're just going to go ahead and use that same technique for all the flowers. And you can see if I want, like, you know, a few darker lines here and there, all you gotta do is slow down your hand a little bit. The quicker you go, the lighter the burn will be. And then here, we're just doing some nice even shading on the leaves. I wanted to keep the leaves a little bit lighter than the flowers, just so they would separate a little bit. Nice even strokes, bringing that all the way up from the center of the leaf up to the outside. And now that we got all that shading done, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Dremel tool. If you're getting into woodworking, I highly recommend getting a Dremel tool. It just adds a whole nother level of contrast. Because as you can see, like where I'm drilling here, it's even lighter than the original tone of the wood. So it really just makes things pop out. And it's also really great if you're doing any like animal portraits, because you can do like highlights and details in fur texture as well. And you don't have to get like a crazy expensive Dremel tool. I think this was like 40 bucks or something like that. I'll tag a link for this as well on Amazon. And now that we got those highlights in the flowers, I wanted to do like a cool, like orby looking background, I guess. So I really like this technique. You just kind of lay out some coins and then grab your torch and lightly burn around the coins. I'm not going crazy dark with this, just enough to where you can see the outline of the coins. And then after I go over all of that, I'm going to take the coins off and then reposition them so they're kind of like overlapping, and yeah, it leaves a cool background effect. I just like it a lot better than leaving it plain. But whatever floats your boat, right? Doing the same thing on the other side, overlapping those coins, leaving some cool shadow marks in there. And here is the finished product. I was super stoked with how it came out. And now all that's left to do is seal it. Oh wait, I am gonna torch a little bit right here. So I'm gonna take out the back of the frame and then torch the inside there. I just thought it would make it look a bit more finished. So we're gonna torch that, and then I'm also gonna torch the top and the bottom of the frame. Gives it a nice rustic look. And here we're just grabbing that Mod Podge to go ahead and seal it up. I absolutely love Mod Podge. I use it on just about every wood burning project that I do. Even if I'm planning on epoxying, Mod Podge is a great sealant to put underneath so the epoxy won't seep through or change the color of the wood too much. And here we are. I'll post a picture at the end of what it looks like with our family photo in there. But I was super stoked with how this turned out. Absolutely love it. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see some future art tutorials from me. It's always much appreciated. Thanks, guys.